Tania, Himanshi, are you guys sort of moderating it?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic, fantastic. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we wait for another 5 minutes for everyone to join in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We start at 5:35.
no problem. Good.
Meanwhile, you might want to know where the people are from and where are the what is their background a little bit, if just to give an idea to the to Swati and to us, so where they're from. Hey Chaitra. Hi Shilpa. Hey Doel.
Hello, Madhura. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Swati, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good to see so many now familiar names on the screen. Hi, Nikhila. Good evening.
Hey Alpana. Fantastic semiconductor professional.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah. We have some serious semiconductor professionals in the Aspire for Her community. You must speak with them.
So to the audience, please show your enthusiasm in the chat.
And Aditi, good job on getting the return to work LinkedIn page back to life. Okay.
Thank you. I think it's like conversations like these that are getting people more interested in it, because it's a burning topic, in my opinion, how to negotiate, and very, very few people know how to do it. In fact, most of my friends who have like such great backgrounds and such great resumes, even they wonder, should we like ask for more? And then my friends who are like boys, they just ask for more, and then they even get it, which is the reason why we are having this session today.
I can see that the session has resonated with a lot of people. But fantastic choice.
Exactly.
Fantastic choice of speaker as well. Okay. Because Swati has been on the other side of the table for the longest time.
Yes, I've been on the other side of the table, and trust me, this bothers me a lot when I see girls, accepting whatever is being offered.
So she will actually bring in a very interesting perspective, and that's what I think I am excited about, that she will actually talk about what it is on the other side. What does the other side feel? Because she has been the head of talent acquisition of a very large organization, and I'm sure there have been lots of conversations that she's part of. And
Yes.
How do
lots of stories. Lots of stories.
We would love to hear those stories. We would love to hear those stories. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Linu has joined in, networking professional. Fantastic. This is so amazing. Actually, we have so many new roles and opportunities coming up for women on a break that, it's really, really seriously funny. I mean, the kind of numbers we are seeing, the kind of interest that we are seeing. In fact, the next one that we will open will be all of, and everybody from tech careers. Yeah. So this is really, really cool. Bangalore CRM application, Chaitra, developer, 11 years of experience. Priyanka, Aldar, Pondicherry, 7 years of experience. Fantastic. Nandita, Oracle DBA. Fantastic. Parna, hello Parna, how are you? Fantastic.
Yeah. Good to see people are talking about what they feel about this whole process of negotiating.
Absolutely. I think we're in a good place. You guys can get started, I guess.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So very good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So we at AFH welcome you all to the negotiating your salary session, and we'd like to run a short poll over here, and if Priya, you can run the poll over here, just to know our audience who all are over here. So everyone can see the poll on their screens, and you just need to fill in the options that you feel are relevant for you.
Can't see it yet.
I think we can have the poll a little later. Now we can just, yeah.
All right, fair. So, Himanshi, would you like to take up? Yeah.
Just a second. Yeah, so let us begin. So today's session is on negotiating your salary. And before we begin, I'd like to introduce, we have a speaker with us, Ms. Swati ma'am. And I'll begin by introducing Madhura Dasgupta Sinha ma'am. She's the founder and the flag bearer for Aspire for Her. Aspire for Her is a unique startup which is working towards bridging the gender gap in the workforce. The vision is to get 1 million women in the workforce, and it is so wonderful to see ma'am take up this beautiful initiative. So over to you, Madhura ma'am. Can you please share a few words?
Thank you, Himanshi. I think one big, feeling of happiness I get is when I see new faces coming on the platform, and that obviously means that we are impacting more lives, and more people are resonating with our cause. I think that's the most beautiful part. When we talk about negotiating a salary, and I see a lot of folks who come in here who actually have a career break, and therefore it is the return to work group of folks, as well as I'm sure young students and young professionals also who have joined us here. It's an uncomfortable topic because women have a very uncomfortable, a relationship with money. But a few months ago, in fact, almost 2 years back, when we launched the return to work, women's community, we actually found that there are some very strange things which were happening in the community. A lot of women were coming forward and joining the community, but they were not really confident about what they wanted in life. They were not really very sure about what their future career paths looked like. Slowly, I think we saw a lot of action, and today we're so delighted that there are so many organizations which have come forward, which are speaking to us, saying, we're interested in speaking to the women returnees. Can you connect us with more women returnees? There are so many organizations. So we feel very proud and happy that we have come this long way, and it would not have been possible without the first person who actually came into Aspire for Her as a returnee. Her name is Ruchita Tandon, as all of you may have seen her around, and she's around, I hope, here. And she and Aditi actually run what is a beautiful community of She Dares, which also has a huge returnee focus. So the reason why I'm talking about returnees is because this conversation that Swati is going to talk about today is very, very pertinent and very close to the heart of those folks who have left the workforce. When they want to come back, they're not very sure of how to have these conversations. Remember that money is not the only thing that you should look for from a job, because if that's what you're looking for from your career, I can assure you that it will not be a fantastic career path that you are dreaming of. Money should be a part of the equation, an important part of the equation, but never the only thing that you're looking for as you go around to build your career. But this is a very important conversation. Nobody talks about these things. And today I am so happy that Swati, who was for all these years on the other side of the table, has chosen to come in and share her stories, and how does a talent acquisition head feel when somebody is actually negotiating their salary, and what is it that they would like to see more of and less of. So we have a really unique combination here of Swati's experience on this side and that side. And I'm hoping that this will be a very interactive and a fantastic conversation, which will help you to bring in many of those critical conversation points into your own journey. So thank you very much for joining us here. And I am very, very happy with the way the entire return to work community interacts with us, engages with us. it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention that we think it is probably one of the best communities in the entire Aspire for Her portal, where people are truly engaged. And people truly consume the resources that we put out for themselves, and not to mention that they are also rewarded and awarded with the many opportunities of the organizations which want to come and engage with them in multiple ways, not just jobs, but in multiple ways. So it's very, very exciting for us, and this community will, I'm sure, grow from strength to strength. But to all the others listening in as well, we would love to see more engagement. Yesterday, we launched a community called Emerging Professionals. We would love to see more engagement, more interaction from all of you. And as you all get together to bring to the fore conversations that matter to all of us like this one. So thank you very much. Thank you, Himanshi, Tanya, for doing this. Swati, it's been a busy couple of days for you, and we hope to see more and more of you as well on the platform. So all the very best to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is always so inspiring to hear you talk. Now, before we introduce our speaker, I'd like to tell the audience that we'll be having a Q&A session by the end of the talk. So in case if you have any questions, you can put that up in the chat box and we'll be happy to take that up. So over to Tanya to introduce our speaker.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much. Thank you, Himanshi. And so now I'd like to welcome our speaker for today. Ms. Swati Datye has over 35 years of experience in the field of human resources across organizations like Indian Hotels, ICICI Bank, First Data, and RBL Bank. She has spent 21 years at ICICI Bank, working across various roles in HR, including the business partner, talent acquisition, lead facilitator for leadership mentorship programs, HR admin and operation, POSH, leadership awards nights, and in her last assignment at RDL Bank, she built the capability to hire over 5,000 people in 2021-2022, a first in the history of the bank. So she has always been responsible for building a strong D&I practice, and the bank has already achieved the gender diversity of 27% by March 2022. During her 6-year tenure with the First Data, she was instrumental in setting up all the HR policies and processes for the India team, and single-handedly managed the migration of over 250 staff from ICICI Bank to First Data, which was a part of the global talent management team, helping conceptualize and set up the captive operations center and the technology center for First Data in India. Currently, she's the member of the advisory board of the Faculty of Management Studies, the Banasthalis University. It is such a pleasure to have you here, ma'am, and I'd like you to come to the stage and kickstart the session.
Thank you so much, Tanya and Himanshi. I will first share my screen and then we can start the conversation. Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Perfectly visible.
Okay. So as you all know, the topic of the session today is negotiating your salaries. Now, I know that Tanya wanted to run a poll, and I don't know when we will run the poll, but irrespective of that,
run it right now. It's all right.
Yeah, if we can, then let's run it. I'll stop sharing if we can just run the poll
there's
first.
No need to stop sharing. We can like
okay.
run this.
Okay.
So we'll be running the poll right now. Yeah, it should be visible on everyone's screen.
I think the statistics are pretty clear. And
yeah. A lot of people haven't negotiated their salary.
Yes.
Right.
But it's good to see that people have started the process of negotiating. So it doesn't matter whether you get what you were expecting or not. The fact that you started, the first step itself is a great step. So congratulations. So can we close this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to keep my slides to the minimum, and I will talk through a lot of the points that I really wanted to make. So the first thing I wanted to tell all of you, and as usual, uh, so the biggest salary negotiation mistake is not negotiating at all. Very often, for whatever reason, there is some hesitation that all of us, especially women, have about negotiating our salaries. It's always a big surprise to me because when we go out to the market, we are all willing to do our negotiations in the market, right? Then what is the harm in it? What stops us from negotiating when it is our salary? Uh, you know, this is something that I have told every young woman I have met. It doesn't matter whether I'm on this side of the table or that side of the table, but you need to start, you know, understanding your salary and negotiating to get what you believe you deserve. I saw the poll. It really doesn't matter whether you get exactly what you want because your aspiration of what your belief of what you deserve versus what the organization might decide to offer you could be different. But the fact that you don't even make an effort to talk about what you expect, I think is the first mistake we all make. So that is something I would strongly urge all of you to get that out of your mindset. Okay. So what really is a salary negotiation? Okay. It's basically a discussion between two parties to resolve an issue that each party finds acceptable. So what is critical is that each party finds it acceptable, which means it's not just the organization that has to find it acceptable. You also have to find it acceptable. Never accept something where you feel you've been shortchanged. Okay. So it is basically the focus is on getting a price for the services you are rendering. And it has to be the best price for both the employer and the potential employee, which is you in this case. Okay. Getting selected for a job, frankly, I don't think I have doubts in anybody uh, from the list of people who are here who would have a problem in getting a job. The most critical part is negotiating to get the right salary, to get the right role for you. And here it is very important for you to be able to get across your point to the employer as to why you deserve more than what you have been offered. Okay, so let's just quickly go through, and I'm going to keep this short. So if there are any questions, please add on, because the more questions you ask, the more we'll be able to talk through, and I will give you all some examples, and we can talk through all of that. So let's just go through what are some of the basic steps you need to follow when you get an offer. So the first thing is, most organizations, when you get selected, ask you, do you have a salary expectation? Please do not say, I'm okay with whatever you offer. Never, ever say that. Okay, because you're passing the buck into their court. If the ball is in their court, then they are going to be hitting the shot and it could be a miss. Okay, so never pass the ball on to their court. But so how are you going to know what to negotiate and what to ask for? So it's very, very important to do your research. And we will talk through these points through the next slides. But it is extremely important to do your research on a couple of things, and we will talk about it. Very important that you don't come across as a brash person demanding the moon, because that can put off the organization. And typically in the organization for compensation, you're either talking to your HR person or you're talking to your future manager. It doesn't help to rub people the wrong way. You need to be confident, but do not appear brash. Okay. And never, never, never rush to close an offer. Yeah, it could be an offer you have got after multiple interviews in multiple organizations, but do not rush, because the organization is also, reading your body language. When I know Himanshi is waiting for this offer, the natural tendency of the recruiter is to offer you a little less than what I can offer you. Okay, so don't rush to close the first offer you get. Always ensure that you build in counter offers, and we'll talk about it. And of course, look at the benefits that you get. So let's just talk through some of this. So when I'm talking about research, the research is on a couple of things. One is on yourself. Do a complete analysis of yourself, and do that before you go for any interview. Okay. Do a complete analysis of your strengths and what are your areas of improvement. And how will you do that? One, of course, you understand yourself, but talk to your friends, your colleagues, your family, to understand what do they see as your strengths, but also understand what are your areas of improvement. Because typically every recruiter will ask you, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Focus on your strengths, but never sugarcoat your weak areas. Say that, yes, I need to build on these things, but you don't need to, go too much into detail in that. Focus on the strengths, because as a recruiter, I have always believed that I want to understand the strengths of the candidate and how I can leverage the strengths. I don't want to look at how I leverage your weaknesses, right? I want to understand the strengths that you have and how can I best, as an organization, best use the strengths that you bring to the table. So focus on those strengths. And please talk to your, if you don't want to talk to people within your organization, talk to your friend circle, talk to your family, talk to your, your batchmates. People who see you from close up will be able to give you frank advice and a frank assessment. So please do that before you go for any interview. Okay. When you go for an interview, or if you've gone through an interview and you have been made an offer, please ensure you understand the role that you are being offered and ensure that you've understood the skills that they require. And this is very important for the purpose of your negotiation. I'm not going through how you have to go through your interview. The reason I'm telling you all this is because this will help you in your negotiation abilities. So understand the role. Please ask for a JD. If they don't have a JD in a format, at least ask them to list out what is the role expected, and please understand what are the skills you have that you will to prove that you will be able to do this role. So get that understanding very clearly. The other thing you should do is read about the organization, read about their structure, read about their culture. These days, all organizations have all of this out there on their websites. There are platforms where people talk about, organizations, culture, compensations. I don't need to tell you all what are these, websites, but there are multiple websites which give you a lot of benchmarking data. So understand that, if you're being offered a role and you know what level you're being offered, find out what is the market benchmark. What is the compensation being offered in the market? Not just by this company, but by maybe competitors, by similar companies hiring people with similar skill sets. And this information is available on all websites. There are multiple websites who do this, and all you need to do is go register there and look for information. Please ensure that you have read about the culture of the organization, because a lot of people give their free and frank opinion about what's good and what's not good in companies. So please do that before you decide to accept any offer. Market benchmark is another very, very important thing. So if the company, this will be useful when you finally get an offer, because if you find that the company is offering you X, but your skills, the role, and the market benchmark is saying you should be getting X plus something, you don't need, please don't quote those websites, but you need to tell them that, I think this, we need to talk about what you're offering. And I'd like to understand why I'm being offered this, because I believe that the skills I bring to the table are far more valuable than what you're offering. But please, be sure that you're getting the right role. Don't take a role because the compensation is high, because then you will never, there'll always be a thought of, oh, she's taken a job, but she's not able to deliver that. So be careful that your role skills map, they're mapped to the skills that you bring in. And therefore know your value. That's the first step to start your negotiation. Know your value. Okay. See, different companies have different ways of deciding what compensations to pay. Okay. There will be some benchmarking. So all organizations do subscribe to market benchmarking surveys. So they know that if there is an engineer with this kind of skills and has so many years of experience, the market benchmark compensations are this. If there is somebody from management education who's done an MBA and has X number of years of experience in this area, broadly, these are the kind of compensations that you. Now, in the tech world, there is also the kick-in you get because of the various key skills you bring in. So whether you have some certification, whether you have some other technical skills you bring in. And you guys know what are the skills needed in the market more than any one of us, right? So you have to highlight those to the organization. Now, if you see, typically what happens in, and I'll tell you our experience. So organizations, when they draw their compensation philosophies, they normally, it depends on, what industry the organization is. It depends on what stage of growth the organization is. And it depends on, again, a little bit to do with your market reputation. Now, if I'm I wouldn't say a startup, but if I'm a relatively smaller company with high aspirations of growth, I'm going to be willing to pay more to get the best of the skills. But if I'm a large organization with with the muscle to be able to hire a lot of people, to be able, and I have a great brand name in the market, then I am not willing to. So what I'm saying as an organization is, if you want to work with me, then you also need to accept the pay structures that I have, and I'm not going to, because I'm not going to be willing to, pay more than the market. A lot of organizations I know who are large organizations have very clear drawn out strategies to say that I do not want to go, to the top end of the spectrum of compensation. I will be at the mid-level of compensation structures. And therefore, they will start from one level below the mid, because they know that candidates will negotiate. And when you accept what they give you, it's to the advantage of the organization, because they have kept their manpower cost lower than what they had budgeted for. Because most of us will offer a little less than what we believe we can push. So if I can offer you 20 lakh, I will start with 50, because I know you're going to negotiate. If you don't negotiate, then good for me. I will stay at 15. But if you do negotiate, then I have that leeway to increase. So all of us do this, okay? So please be aware that, there are very few organizations who say we don't negotiate. Very few. Most of them, and if they are the kind who say that we will not negotiate, they'll tell you upfront that we have very strict parameters and we will give you the best we can. So, we don't negotiate. So you know where you are. But trust me, today in this world where every organization is, desperately looking for good candidates, they will be willing to negotiate. So it is your loss if you do not even open the conversation. Okay. You have to help the organization understand why you deserve what you're asking. And therefore, this, the whole analysis, the whole study is so important. Because if you don't know what your strengths are, if you do not know what the market is, if you do not know how critical the skill that you bring to the table is, you are not going to be able to explain to the organization why you deserve what you're asking for. So you have to do a lot of homework to be able to be prepared to sit through that negotiation discussion. Also, through this discussion, please understand the organization's perspectives also. So, I will give you an example. See, most companies have different scales depending on where they are hiring. So if you're hiring in a city like a Mumbai or a Delhi, the compensation would be slightly higher because the cost of living is higher in a Mumbai or a Delhi. But if I'm hiring in a smaller town, which is one of the reasons why a lot of companies have gone to slightly smaller cities for their expansions. The cost of living is slightly lower, and therefore the compensations are slightly lower. Yeah. So you need to understand what the organization is trying to tell you. So listen. Very important to have these conversations. You need to speak to the organization. Okay. And frankly, don't stick with your number. So just like I told you, organizations will always offer you a little less than what they think they can offer you. You also should be willing to, come down from what you have asked them. So if you asked for 20 and they give you 18, understand why they're doing that. And most of them will, when they're offering you what they are, they will sit down to talk to you. Nobody says take it on. Okay, so they will get into this conversation. So understand what their perspectives are. They may have something, and we will talk about it on the next slide as to why they're offering you what you believe is slightly lesser than what you should get. So understand and don't get very obstinate on these things. Because please remember that through all of these discussions, the recruiter, your manager, are all, reading your body language. Okay. And finally, if you want to be a part of that organization, there is no point in trying to burn bridges. So don't get too obstinate, because then, like Madhura said in the beginning, people say, Achha, she wants to come here only for the money. I don't think that's the right person we want to bring in. Because very often, when you're hiring, one of the things, so as the HR person, I don't check on the technical competence. I leave it to the business person to check the technical competence. What do I look for? I look for culture fit. And a lot of these signals I pick up when you're having these conversations. So please remember that when you have these conversations, you don't come across as a difficult person. You don't come across as a person who's refusing to understand the other person's point of view. You may not accept the point of view, which is fine. But if you have a closed mind, they will really go back and say, hey, is this the kind of person who, if she is being so closed with her own compensation negotiation, is she going to be able to do a good job when she comes into the organization? So please ensure that, you strike that balance. Yeah. So let's move on. As usual, slides don't move. Give me a minute. Okay. So let's just go through the next points. And I know that there are some questions in the chat, and I'll just take it once we finish. I don't have a very long presentation, so we can spend more time chatting on this. So let's just go through some of the other things. Like I said earlier, never be in a hurry to close a position. Okay. I can read body language and I know that the person wants to close this. So I can, so then I have an upper hand as the HR person, as the person on the other side of the table. So be patient. Do not push for closure. Get all the details before you say yes or no. So when you get an offer, do not just, very often, and I've heard some of my recruiters do it when I've called them up and said, please, this is not the way to make an offer. They will just call the candidate and say, okay, we're giving you so much CTC. Let us know if you're okay with it. Okay. Like we discussed earlier, negotiation is not only about the compensation. So please ask for all the details. Yeah. Get it in writing. And very often before issuing the formal contract, the recruiter will send you the compensation details on an email, or will send it to you for your view. What is important is that you understand the complete offer. So ask for everything. Okay. See, what happens is many of you are return to work folks, right? Now, I'll just give you a very simple example. There are some companies who have 6-day work week, and there are some who have a 5-day work. At some stage in your life, you may want a two-day weekend. Trust me, while that is not in your CTC, that is something that is important to you at that stage in your life. So if you don't understand this, you do not understand how many leaves you get. You do not understand what are the other benefits that you get. If you're going to focus only on the fixed cash component, you will end up not getting a good deal. So understand what stage of your career and life you are at, what is important to you. So for, and this may not be relevant to any one of you, but I'm just giving you all some examples. There are companies, and when you read about culture of companies, you will know that there are some companies who say that we start at 9 and we don't have a close timing. We will go on till work gets done kind of thing. When you read on these websites, you will know people talking about, oh, yahan par to we have to work till 12 and 1 every night, and I don't leave for home before 9 o'clock. You know that there is something not the best. Understand whether at that stage in your life, your timings are going to be important to you. Okay. So therefore, all this research that I'm telling you is important from all these perspectives. If you don't understand that, then you would be, you would end up just taking something because somebody's offered you a higher fixed cash. Also understand what are the, if that role is the right role for you. Because sometimes, you have certain skills where I might offer you a role, but that role will mean that you have to travel extensively. You have to work long hours. If at that stage in your life, you are willing to do that, then by all means take it. But understand what is it that is being offered. There are companies who don't give too many annual leaves. So please understand what are the leaves that are given. Simple things, insurances. There is, and even within insurances, there are multiple things that are being offered. There is medical insurance, there is life insurance, there is accident insurance. Now, while that, some companies don't count that in their cash component. It's put in there under their benefits. But have you even asked for what are the benefits? Because if you don't ask, you will not know what you're asking, negotiating. So you need to understand at what stage of life are you in, and what is more important to you. Is there are lots of companies today who are willing to give you work from home. Maybe not all days. There are companies who will say that, yes, 2 days you need to come into work every week, and 3 days you can work from home. Now, if you are a new mother, maybe it helps you. So again, you have to wear the glove that fits you. But you have to, if you don't understand it, then you don't know what you're negotiating. And then once you come into the organization, then you will get unhappy. So get all these things right. You need to know where your work location is going to be. Is that something that is going to be, especially for people in Mumbai, we know how the travel distances are, right? Now, is that something that you're okay with? See, please understand that just as you need the job, the company needs you. And yes, today the company has, if not you, another 5 candidates, which is true. But the same is for you. If not this company, there are other companies. So don't just get enamored by a higher cash component that they offer. Please ask for all the benefits and the perks that are being offered. Some companies at mid-level start offering stock options. And therefore, their fixed components are lower. So if you don't understand that, then you will think, acha, fixed component is so less, I'm not going to go there. I don't even want to talk to them. I'm just going to reject the offer. Don't do that. That's why I said understand their risk. Understand what they are offering. So talk to the HR person, talk to your manager, and be honest about these things. So, there are sometimes you might, if there is the stock option, maybe you can negotiate for a bigger stock option. So, there are different things that work for different people. If there are stock options being given and you say you don't want stock options, I don't know if the company is okay with not giving stock options. So you say, okay, don't give me stock options, give me higher cash. But that, again, if you sit on the table and discuss, then you can have these negotiations. So you need to have that. And very important that once very often what most of us do, that if I have called up a candidate and said, okay, we liked you and we're going to make you an offer. So, in a day or two, we'll send you the offer. I shut shop. I don't look for any other companies. Please don't do that. Please continue talking to other companies. And there is a reason for this. Because if you get another offer, then you are in a better position to negotiate with the company. Please remember that when I, as a recruiter, make you an offer and you accept, I don't stop looking at candidates for that position. My ticker stops only after you join the organization. So I am continuing to look for other candidates because all of you know that in today's world, especially in the tech world, don't get me wrong, but especially in the tech world, there are a lot of candidates who drop out at the last day. I've had candidates not taking my call, even a day before they were to join, or on the day of joining at 9 o'clock, I'm trying to, my team is trying to call up to say, hey, where are you? And the person doesn't pick the call. So after having made an offer, gone through a whole round of interviews and selected and waited for 3 months of notice period, if the candidate can drop out, then as a company, my business is at stake. So I don't stop interviewing candidates and building backups. So why should you not build your backups? So very important that you build your backup so that one is you have you understand what other companies are offering. And two is if you like company A better, you at least have a counter offer to go and negotiate to say that, yeah, I'd love to join your company, but I have another offer which is offering me more than what you're offering. Can you match that? Then I would be able to, think about, I would then prefer joining you. And most, please don't think that companies are not, will tell you go join the other company. Today, in today's world, uh, it's a, like it's a consumer world, it's a candidate world today. Okay. But if you leave it into the hands of the organization, then you're the one who's losing out. And the most important thing is practice what you're going to talk to them before the meeting. Practice, practice, practice. Okay. Go through your strengths, go through your areas of weakness, go through the compensations, go through what you will tell them. And you can use the mirror, you can use somebody in your house, you can use a friend to practice on, but please practice. Because what happens otherwise is when you go there for a conversation, you forget something, you miss talking about an important point, and then you, after the meeting, you say, oh, I forgot to ask them about this part. I forgot to talk to them about this one benefit and what they do on it. So please, please, please practice, practice, practice. Okay, I don't know how, I can't emphasize it more. Just like I train my recruiters on how to interview, I'm telling all of you, please practice before you go for a negotiation. I'm sure you practice even when you go for an interview, right? You're preparing yourself for an interview. So prepare yourself when you go for a pitch. Treat it like any corporate meeting you go for. You prepare for a meeting, right? You make your notes, you make your points of what are the key things you want to talk about. And, it's very surprising that, I see about 70 odd people on this program right now. All of you who are working or who have worked in your working life, you negotiate with vendors, you negotiate with third parties, you negotiate with your colleagues on something. So if you can negotiate on behalf of the company, why can't you negotiate on behalf of yourself? Yeah. So please do not, and you're not doing the company a favor. The company is not going to think better of you because you did not negotiate. They won't think bad of you, but they won't think better of you because, acha, she didn't negotiate, so very good. Very good. Nobody thinks that. But if you negotiate and you negotiate well, that's the best thing to do. So practice before you go for any discussion. Do your homework well. Okay, because if you go to them and say, I think I deserve so much, they're going to tell you, you know what, the skill that you bring to the table, we have other people, they I pay them half of what you're expecting. Then you will have no response. So you will, ensure that you practice. Okay. Staying active on LinkedIn, updating your job sites, I think that's a no-brainer. Please ensure that you do it. So, as a closing, I just wanted to show you 2 videos. Give me a minute. Okay. This is a video I found very, very interesting, and I'd like to play it for you all. I'm assuming you can see the screen. Himanshi, you all can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, is there any audio with the video?
Yeah, you'll have to do in that share screen audio also, Swati.
Yeah.
Sorry, just you can't hear it?
Yeah, ma'am, I think you need to share the sound while you're sharing.
Okay, I had shared it. Just give me a minute. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Swati, if you can share the link, we can share our own screen.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Just give.
Till then, if anyone has any questions, you can put up in the chat box. So we'll take them up later.
Telling the truth is not in the cards right now. I thought you'd be excited to
It's audible, ma'am. No, you can
have
say
an
it.
acting job.
If it's an acting job, we should get paid.
Yeah, you're gonna get paid in experience.
I want to actually get paid.
All right, what do you want?
$600 for the day, plus overtime if we go over 8 hours. I'll do my own hair and makeup, and I want you to pay for the 6-week intensive acting camp that my mom can't afford.
$50 for the day and a 2-week acting class at the YMCA nearest you.
$500 and a 4-week acting class.
$300 and a 3-week class.
Done.
I would have done it for $500.
I would have done it for the experience.
I will show you one more interesting video.
So here's a little role play where I'm doing a number of key things wrong. See how many you can spot, maybe make some notes, and then after the video I'll reveal the answers. So this course will cost you $4,000 for the design and then to run it for 2 groups.
You know, that's a little more than we have budgeted for. Is there any way you can reduce it a bit?
Well, you are a regular customer, so I suppose I could reduce it to $3,500.
That's not a bad rate. And what if we actually scheduled several dates for this program, spread over the next 2 years? How much cheaper would that be?
Well, if you ran it for
can't see the
several
video.
days, it would come down to $3,000 per course.
Sorry?
It's audible.
I
but
can't see the video. There is no video, just the audio.
Are you still sharing the old screen?
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Role play where I'm doing a number of
Yes,
key
ma'am.
things wrong.
Okay.
See how many you can spot, maybe make some notes, and then after the video I'll reveal the answers. So this course will cost you $4,000 for the design and then to run it for 2 groups.
You know, that's a little more than we have budgeted for. Is there any way you can reduce it a bit?
Well, you are a regular customer, so I suppose I could reduce it to $3,500.
That's not a bad rate. And what if we actually scheduled several dates for this program, spread over the next 2 years? How much cheaper would that be?
Well, if you ran it for several dates, it would come down to $3,000 per course.
But Chris, it's 3 courses. I think for that you should be able to give us a bigger discount. Can you reduce it a little bit more?
Well, I suppose I could reduce it to $2,500.
How about 2,000?
Oh, okay then. You've got a deal. Okay, so I hope you spotted a few things that I did wrong. These were the 3 main things, which I hope you noticed. First, I used round numbers, which made all the numbers I quoted sound made up. It reduced my credibility and showed I was just playing a game. Second, I forgot to move in small steps, so I gave too much away each time. And this meant that I came down from $4,000 to only $2,500, which was a big loss of money for me. And third, perhaps harder to spot, but I hope you got it, was that I didn't trade. I just conceded, which was weak, and it made it easy for Lily to push me down further and further. So now let's see what it looks like when I do it right. Odd numbers, small steps, and trading. So the course would cost $4,200, and that's for the design and then to run it for the 2 groups.
That's a little bit more than we have budgeted for. Is there any way you could reduce it just a little bit?
Well, I think it is a good price. Maybe if we had an agreement that you would have 12 people or fewer on each course, that would save me a little bit of cost. I could do it for 4,100 then.
It's still a little bit high. What if we were to book this date for several programs spread over the next 2 years? How much cheaper would that be?
Well, running it several times would bring the cost down a little bit. If you booked 3, I could bring it down to 3,840. But if you wanted to bring it down a bit more, I had an idea. If you could refer to me on your website, recommend me on there, and if I could refer to you on my website as a customer, then I could bring it down to 3,660. How about that?
Okay, what if we were to provide you with all of the printing and gave you a really great lunch every day? What would be the absolute best you could do it for?
Well, the lunch would be nice. The printing doesn't make a lot of difference to my costs, but I suppose it would make it a little bit cheaper to run. So if you did the printing and provided the lunch as well, then I could bring it down to 3,620. How about we go ahead on that basis?
That's a good deal. Let's do it.
Excellent. In this version, I end up on 3,620 rather than 2,500, and I've got some valuable tradables as well. It's a huge difference. Always make sure when you negotiate that you don't use round numbers, that you move in small steps, and that you trade.
So that was some fun, interesting negotiation, starting from that little girl. But look at how she negotiated. Yeah, from $50 that he was willing to pay her, he brought it to $300. And she, remember trade. You should be willing to give in a little more and get something in return. So, you always have an option of either doing what's on the left in your negotiation or having a more congenial negotiation, because you're looking at joining an organization and becoming part of the team there. So I would say wish you all the best. And Himanshi or Tanya, can we look at the questions? Should I just quickly go through the chat and see what?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for this.
We've collected the questions, so we can.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So
the first question was whether or not should we disclose our previous CTC.
So I saw one more question which said that, somebody who had a compensation 8 years back and the company was asking her to share it. So I will give you a perspective from the company side. Okay, what happens is they want to kind of understand where you were when you last left work. Unfortunately, they try and benchmark that, especially for people who have taken long breaks. That becomes a slightly, so try and avoid giving it. Say that, I've left 5 years back, 8 years back. It really doesn't make sense for you to look at that compensation. Please look at my current skills and the skills I have gained over the, in the past and through because I'm assuming that while you were on break, you probably tried to do something to enhance your skills. Please do that, because then that helps to negotiate better. So, not necessary that you need to share compensation, but trust me, if you don't share compensation, the company might be a little unwilling to take the discussion forward. So, it's a little difficult to say, I will not share.
Right. So there was a question that said that what if the HR says that this is the max budget that we have and not willing to budge our expectation above that? So is it worth negotiating?
You need to understand why they're saying that. You need to tell them that see, there are companies who don't negotiate. So one of the organizations I worked for had a very clear policy that we don't negotiate. But then they had the muscle, okay, because there were 40 other candidates waiting. So they had the ability to say that we will get the best that we want at the price point that we want. And they were also very fair in what they used to offer. So it was not that somebody with same skill sets would get more or less than the others. I know for a fact, because I was part of that team, that there was no, no shortchanging of any candidate that would happen. And therefore, they were very clear that we will not negotiate. But not everyone does that. Most companies are willing to talk to you. And therefore, I said, having a counter offer becomes very important. Because if you have a counter offer, then you can always go back and say that, while you are my preferred organization, because I like the role, and I like whatever I have seen so far. I like the people that I have met so far. However, I have an offer which is slightly more than what you are offering, either in terms of fixed or in terms of benefits or whatever, whatever is the offer that you have. But please, when you share, I know all of us tell the candidate, share your offer with us. Ensure that you blank out the company names everywhere. Be very careful and only then share it, or just share the compensation slide, the page, without showing the name of the company. Yeah, just take care of that.
So the next question is from someone: if they have a career gap of about 11 years, should they negotiate the salary offered or take up what is being offered?
You need to see, firstly, understand what they're offering, why they're offering. Again, your research will play a very okay. So if you do your research, see, if you're in the tech world, you will know somebody or the other in the company, or somebody who knows somebody in the company. Talk to people, find out if what is being offered to you is a fair deal. And I know you are keen on coming back, and compensation is not the best, not the only thing that is driving you. If the role is your dream role, okay, you want this role, I would still say yes or no only after you have done your research, because you do not want to be shortchanged. You will be heartbroken if you join the company and find out that your colleague sitting next to you with similar skills or maybe a notch lower is getting paid more than you. And, while as an HR person, we always tell people never share your compensations with each other. Reality is all of you share your compensation with each other. So that is reality. And we in HR have to learn to live with it. But accept it if you believe it's a fair deal after you have done your research. Do not do anything without doing research. Talk to people and see, I'm sure, you guys will find somebody or the other who you will know. Okay, there are websites, I know somebody's asked about where do we go, and I don't want to use names over here, but Glassdoor is one which is known to everybody, right? Go there and read about the company. Typically, there's a lot of information on compensation also. So do that work before you agree or not. It's not that, after 11 years I'm coming back, so I'll take whatever I get. Don't do that. Do it only if you believe the role is right for you and you believe that the compensation is... See, because this is a contract between you and an organization. You're not doing anyone, you're not there for charity. So ensure that you get what you deserve. If you believe that that's the right thing to be, you may feel I would have been happier if I got a little more. Who's not happy with a higher pay? But, given that I have an 11-year gap, I'm still willing to take that, take that risk and join in. Please do it. But remember that, it's not that, I can take a lower compensation now. And, suddenly after a year when I've performed very well, they will double my compensation. No company does. So don't have those kind of expectations. Ruchita, you wanted to say something?
No, we still have, I think, a couple of questions. Or are we done with the questions? I think Anmol has...
I see somebody has raised questions.
Okay, we'll wait for Anmol then.
Hi, Swati. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Thank you for the amazing
Thank you.
Anmol went on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Anmol.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I work in films. I was working as an assistant producer, assistant director. Now, my work timings were around 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. But I wanted to understand, how do I negotiate my work timings? Now I was being, so the average person was being paid 35,000, but because I was a fresher, I mean, I was just in college, technically out of college. I was more experienced than everyone, but I was still being paid less. That's fine. But they expected me to work way beyond, what time was given. Now, how do I negotiate that? Because in this film space, they always expect you to work, till late. Like shoots happen 6 in the morning and at 12 a.m. And I was not able to have any work balance. It took toll on my mental health. I didn't have any physical exercise. So how do I, negotiate that?
Okay. This will be a long answer. And I'm happy to chat with you offline also, Anmol, on this. But let me tell you that when you take an offer, firstly, you have to be very clear on whether that is your calling. Okay, that role, is that job your calling? Okay. So I'll give you an example. If you join a contact center and the contact center has, night shifts or what they call graveyard shifts, then, that's the nature of the job. Within that, you have to ensure that your safety is taken care of and all of that. But the nature of the job is that there will be graveyard shifts because you're taking, calls from, international locations. And therefore, those timings will need to be adhered to. So it's also to do with the kind of jobs that you are taking up. So if you are in the film fraternity, there is no way that you're going to be having a 9-to-5 job. And if you are an assistant producer, assistant director, there is no way that you can, do a 9-to-5 job. Then you will have to relook at what is it that you want. Okay. If you negotiate, then the company will come back and say, okay, then I'll negotiate your salary because you're not willing to work long hours. So, that will become a challenge. So why don't, if Tanya or Himanshi can share my email with you or my number with you, I'm happy to have a chat with you and discuss more on this. Yeah, because I know we're already 10 minutes beyond time and I want to be cognizant that, there are lots of other people who will want to drop off. So we'll chat later, but I'm happy to have a chat.
No.
Okay,
so what you will do is, for interesting sessions like these, and since Swati is also a mentor on a platform, what I will request you, Anmol, is to apply for a mentoring session. Okay, and you can opt for Swati and you will get that 1 hour time with her as many times as you wish. And the same goes for everybody, because I know these are very insightful tips. And negotiating your salary, yes, but at the end of it, remember that you have to pick the job. And the last minute decisions are yours. Whether you come back from a break or whether you have to decide about taking the job, that decision has to be yours. The tips Swati has given enough. And I would always say women have these inbuilt negotiating skills. At least in the home front, everybody uses it. I don't think anybody should be scared to take them ahead. But first thing which I always tell, and let's all show our faces with Swati and take a nice picture, because that is something that gets missing from all that we have. The colorful pictures, the smiles, and the colorful clothes.
Yes, and today I think many will be in green color. I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Yes, I'm in green. That's right.
So am I.
See, there we have. See, it's so nice to see. If you don't know your face, how are you going to negotiate, Baba? This is one of the things that I have to say, that everybody should be. I think, Aditi, you can click some lovely pictures with everybody who's going to be here. And
yeah.
And that would be good, including yours, Aditi. See there, I see one by one. Right? The first step to negotiate is to feel confident about yourself. Only then you can fight for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
But Swati is always there. And for every session of ours, please go. It is mentoring@aspireforher.org. Right over there. Ask for Swati and you will get your mentoring session. And maybe you come up with so many tips. And it could be even a day before your interview. It could also be after your interview, whenever you wish.
Absolutely.
Swati is there.
No, I have a lot of my old colleagues from even from my previous organizations who call up and say, tomorrow I have an interview. And I know that, these are the 2-3 things that they see as holes in my CV. So how do I present myself correctly? And I've had long chats with people just to help them to say that don't look at them as holes. There was a reason why these things happened, and I know that a lot of women feel very diffident to talk about the breaks that they have taken. There is no reason for you to be diffident. Okay. Listen, I took a break in my life. Okay. I took a break of almost about 1.5 years. And, somebody asked me, why did you take a break? And I had a genuine reason. I said, yes, this is the reason I took a break. I have no qualms about it. So I don't think anyone takes a break to sit at home and chill. Okay. We're all, highly educated, and you've done your education because you want to use your professional skills. Taking a break is a natural process in many people's lives. See, men, there are no men on this group, so I can be a little frank with you. Men can't afford to, in our society, take breaks because it's looked down upon. And unfortunately, in our society, men are seen as the providers. So a man taking a break to look after a child or to look after an aging parent, people think, yaar, isko na naukri se nikala hoga. Which is not true. There are men who want to take that break to look after their child. But they can't take a break because, people will say, Hari, this guy is taking a break. That is a problem. But when a woman takes a break, don't feel answerable to anybody for why you took a break. And you could have taken a break for a good 10, 12, 15 years. Look at Ruchita. She took a break, but look at how she's come back. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't stop you from coming back with a bang. So never, ever feel diffident about the fact that you've taken a break for 8 years, 11 years. It could be, how many ever years. You would have had your challenges while you took your breaks. Nobody's, sitting watching Netflix all the day, right? There are reasons why you've all taken your breaks. So don't feel guilty about it.
Thank you so much for those insights, Swati. And of course, Tanya and Himanshi, who are very young, actually, I would say, but they do understand how negotiation of your salary is an important tip all your life. And if any of you have any thoughts on the further sessions, please write to aditi@aspireforher.org. Aditi, you're on ORG, right? And let us know the other sessions that you want or on the Telegram group, but feel free to go ahead and apply for your mentorship right away. And till then, thank you so much. And thank you to these young girls for volunteering to moderate for today's session. And of course, my AFH team, who's always there, right from the tech to the ops to the business team, who is always on the go only to give you valuable sessions. So please, the least you can do is attend it, take valuable tips and make that bang in your career. Thank you, Swati, once again for being here. And I'm sure we'll get you back in a couple of months so that then all the women would have been back into their jobs and we'll have a different topic on salaries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.